Hey there. Sorry for the background noise. I just have the backup hard drive online, and I quite frankly don't feel like doing anything with the audio, so there's going to be a lot of strange background noises and strange breathings and stuff, and I'm going to apologize in advance for any audio abnormalities, as we like to call it. Or some people like to call it, I don't know. Anyways. Yeah, it's been a while since I talked any semblance of wrestling or sports entertainment or anything of the sort, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah, if you're not into that sort of thing, you might as well turn back now. I'm sure there's going to be some more interesting stuff somewhere down the line. I'm currently working on a pickups video at the moment. I already have it filmed, just got to edit it around and stuff like that. Anyways. Yeah, so, Summerslam. It's the first time that I've watched a non-WrestleMania pay-per-view since, well, it's been a good long while since I've actually seen it live, rather than buying a DVD, but, you know, I figured, why not try and get back into the scheme of things with the pay-per-view circuit, and honestly, I don't think I could have started with a better show. SummerSlam was actually an enjoyable little pay-per-view in my mind. 3 hours went by really quickly. There were only a couple matches that bored me to tears, one of which predictably included the Divas match, which I'll get to later. The wrestling and the action overall was top-notch stuff, and the end of the show was exactly what it needed to be. I'm going to dwell on this a bit. I'm not going to go too in-depth or any of this sort. It's not really a review or anything with any deep critical analysis. I'm not going to, tell you match times or botches or anything of the sort. These are just a gathering of general thoughts while they're still fresh in my mind. I'm not going into details about moves and shit. If you want like detailed analysis, there's plenty of people that could do a better job of it. I just wanted to share some quick thoughts, and that's about it. Ramble a bit about it. That's the scheme of the things. Anyways, so the pre-show match, the match that was offered for free before the actual pay-per-view. Rob Van Dam defeating U.S. champion Dean Ambrose via disqualification. Ambrose retains his United States Championship. It's a good sign that the match was entertaining, and a good sign that the match seemed like it could go either way, because that gets you hyped up for the main show. I only wish this match was part of the actual pay-per-view rather than the pre-show, but whatever. What are you going to do? I thought the match was good enough for an opener, so, whatever. Anyways. Almost didn't see the whole thing at first, but I did get to catch it later on, because I have it on the PVR, and I thought it was an okay match. Good enough for an opener if they put it on the actual show, but they didn't. They put it on the pre-show, and yeah, that's fine, whatever. Anyways, the opening contest, Bray Wyatt defeated Kane in a Ring of Fire match, which is essentially an Inferno match from the old days, except for the part where rather than setting your opponent on fire to win, it's just a regular no DQ match where you either pin the guy for the 1, 2, 3, or you make him tap out. Call me sadistic, but I would have preferred an Inferno match proper with the original stipulation of setting a limb on fire, but it's the PG era, and according to a whole lot of people, the PG era is supposed to suck or something. I don't know. I never got that impression. I thought, it relied, the stories more than anything tend to be on the sucky side rather than the rating. You could have good stuff in a PG environment, but that's just me. Anyways, this was an okay match, not much more than that. I'm not really feeling the whole Bray Wyatt family thing, and for a debut match, there wasn't much to sell me on that particular character or the gimmick, but I don't know. The match itself was okay, the atmosphere with the flames made for a nice visual if nothing else, but really that's all I got out of it. Sorry. Cody Rhodes defeated Damien Sandow. Most probably this is leading to another match down the line where Sandow's briefcase is on the line. His briefcase is on the line. That sounds kind of stupid, but then again, I was watching this stuff when they had such innovative match concepts such as Viagra on a pole or Judy Bagwell on a forklift, or my personal favorite innovative match type, the Kennel from Hell, which, by the way, WCW didn't ruin that one, kiddies. That was all WWF. Just a Kennel from Hell, not the other two. Those were W's, but yeah, right, the match. The match was okay. Could have been a bit better since this was supposed to be a match between two former tag partners turned rivals who soured on each other. And I was expecting something a little more, with a little more intensity, but it was alright. I can't really complain all that much. Alberto Del Rio defeated Christian via submission to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. This was a good match. It was a fun match to watch, told a good story for the most part. I got into it, and it worked well enough for Christian getting so close to that victory, to winning that world title for a third time or second time or whatever it was. And yet he falls short in the end, and, you know, I wouldn't call it a great match or anything, but it kept my interest throughout the match. It told a good story. It was a solid effort. I can't really complain. Natalya defeated Brie Bella, or Nikki Bella, or one of the Bella twins. I was taking a piss break and making myself a sandwich while this match took place. I never could get into the Divas matches, especially in this day and age. I don't know what it is about them, but they seem to be a turnoff for me. It's like, you know, every time there's a Divas match, piss break. You know, the ladies look nice. They're easy on the eyes, I suppose. Well, some of them are easy on the eyes, but I really have no interest in seeing them in the ring. I don't know what it is. I suppose you have to really have something to catch my attention to have me care about a Divas match. I don't know, I'm trying to put into words why I don't care for the Divas matches, but I suppose I can't. Anyways, Brock Lesnar defeated CM Punk in a no disqualification match. All I can say is that this is the first Brock Lesnar match that I've seen since his return in 2012 that did not suck. Because I recall watching the series of matches that he had with Triple H, and I'm like... They put me to sleep. I'm sorry. I know some people would like those matches, like the Brock Lesnar Triple H matches are exactly the same way I felt about the Triple H Undertaker matches. They just put me to sleep. And I know some people were like, those matches were awesome. I'm like, no, they weren't. I never did. They bored the piss out of me. Even the match with John Cena last year, which I haven't seen the whole thing. I've seen bits and pieces of it. But the first match he had with John Cena back in 2012, I thought was a better match than any of the Triple H efforts. But, no, Punk versus Lesnar was exactly what it needed to be. An intense fight with no punches pulled, and it certainly delivered on that count. The crowd was into it, the wrestling was very good. The use of the MMA stuff didn't really feel contrived or out of place. And again, it was one of those matches where it could have gone either way, and you couldn't really tell who was going to win at the end. And I think that's important in any semblance of scripted entertainment, to keep the audience involved and keep them guessing as to what happens next. Even if you knew what was going on, there's, you know, you always have to like keep them engaged, so that even though you might might know what happens at the end, you know, there could be instances where, you know, they throw a couple of curveballs to think, oh, maybe this won't happen the way I thought it would, or something like that. I was kind of contrived there, but anyways, I thought it was a great, intense match. No real complaints in that regard. Dolph Ziggler and Caitlyn defeated, what's-his-face there, Big E, Langston, and AJ Lee in a mixed tag match. I was like, meh. I didn't care. It's a horrible thing to say, but I was like, you know, throughout the whole match, I was like, who cares? This was essentially another piss break match. When I rewatched the match, like, you know, sometime later, it seemed okay, but for the most part, I was basically not feeling the match. I just didn't care. I don't know. I think the sad truth is I never cared for Dolph Ziggler since he had that Money in the Bank thing last year and lost matches on a regular basis. And it's a shame because Ziggler does have some, you know, the guy's talented. He has something to get to that spot where he could be a big deal somewhat, but I'm not really feeling it. I mean, nothing he does now makes me go, there's an interesting story going on. Maybe I should pay more attention or something, or is this guy's going to be a big deal or anything? I never get, I'm like, meh. Every time Ziggler's in the ring, I'm like, meh. You know, I honestly don't care. That was a waste of an entirely pointless piece of exposition. Then we get to the main event. The WWE Championship Match. Bryan Danielson defeats John Cena to win the WWE Championship for 5 minutes before getting pedigreed by Triple H and cashed in by Randy Orton, who subsequently wins the title. Let's break this down a bit. Trying not to, but Bryan Danielson does defeat John Cena with a knee to the fucking face and scores a clean pinfall victory. No shenanigans, no outside interference, no bullshit. This was a straight up good clean match that does its job of cementing Daniel Bryan Danielson as a top guy. In my mind, if no one else's, he's a made man, he's a big name, he's a main eventer. He got his big moment, he beat John Cena clean in the middle of the ring, and the crowd goes wild. That rarely, if ever, happens for someone who isn't already an established star to get a pure, clean win over WWE's franchise player. And this was a match that surprisingly kept it between two guys fighting for a championship. There was no outside interference from anybody else. There was no shenanigans from Triple H, who was the special referee and was basically a non-factor throughout the match, which was kind of surprising and kind of, enlightening. There were no distractions, there were no screwy finishes, there was no situation where it could be considered controversial or anything of the sort, or there was no stupid, double pinfall or anything like that, or no instance where one guy is pinned or the other guy's tapping out at the same time. It was a clean match, it was a good match, it was a great match, it was a fun match to watch, it delivered the goods. And credit to the Two Chins for pulling off a beautiful match that kept interest high and delivered some solid action. Daniel Bryan, delivers the goods whenever he's in a match. And I know it's easy to shit on John Cena, we've all done it in some form or another, but the guy is capable of pulling a great match out of his ass when it comes to when put in a big match situation. He's done that many times before, and he certainly covered his side of the bargain here. This could have been merely a passably good match, but ended up being a great one. No real complaints in that regard. I thought it was a great match, beautiful match, really kept me into it, and certainly the crowd reacted positively when Daniel Bryan did win the match with a move that came out of nowhere. And then of course there was a cash in by Randy Orton, the heel turn by Mick's son-in-law, and I'm okay with this actually. I knew it was going to happen one way or another. I knew, going into this, I knew that whoever would have won the match, Orton was going to cash in and win the title. And I sort of knew that Triple H was sooner or later was going to pull the screw job on Daniel Bryan. Especially when he stuck around the ring longer than necessary. That's something they have to work on. There were a couple storylines where they had the guy hanging around longer than necessary, and then that would telegraph to a swerve of some kind. But I knew those things were coming, but I'm not one of those folks who think doom and gloom, for Daniel Bryan. Oh, Daniel Bryan's going to be buried all of a sudden. And I don't think it's going to be all, it's going to go downhill from here, even though I should, because I think anything involving Triple H in any major capacity these days is often the kiss of death for your main program. Case in point, that whole Summer of Punk deal from a couple of years ago, where they had a major, really good thing going on, with the CM Punk pipe bomb, and then the Money in the Bank match where he went on hiatus, and then Triple H came along and everything went to shit. And this isn't really me, really hating on the guy, but it's just something that when they put Triple H in there, in a storyline that didn't really need him, my interest sort of wanes. Although I'm far from the Bret Hart camp, where he never had any great matches. He had some good matches here and there. He had some decent matches, But even though I knew that whole thing was coming, I knew how it was going to end, it didn't really detract from the overall show. I thought it ended the way it should, and hopefully this will be the beginning of something bigger and better for Daniel Bryan Danielson and even Randy Orton, who has been floating around for a while. So maybe this heel turn will lead to something, hopefully not another Evolution thing. Because I know people have fond memories of Evolution because it was one of the top stables of WWE, but one day we're running roughshod, the shows sucked horribly. But that's just me. This could be a potentially good thing for, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton. Hopefully they'll have a nice little feud out of it, and, it'll give something for Daniel Bryan to do to even cement his name further, because I don't think they're going to really bury the guy outright, especially after they just had him pin John Cena clean, and a real clean win. But yeah, this could be something, beginning of something good, and hopefully they will do the sensible thing and keep Triple H on the side and not put him in the ring. A potentially good thing does not need his mucking up in the ring in any way, shape, or form. Just play the screwy authority figure all you want, Hunter. Just leave the in-ring stuff to the folks who could still go, and that's all I'm really going to say in that regard. But yeah, SummerSlam was a good show. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the follow-up on Raw, see where they go from here. And here's hoping that it gets better from here, because for the first time in a long while, I'm actually into what's going on, and that can only be a good thing. Here's hoping. Yeah, that's going to do it for me. Thanks for enduring this rambling session of sorts. Take care, and good night.